Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Catalyst for Change. Today's subject is one that is quite dear to my heart, and it is dear to my heart because I've been asked this question so many times. Why does the healing not work? Or why is it so slow? There are many reasons for this. And all of the reasons are extremely important. But before we go into those hard truths, we need to understand healing. We need to understand the process of healing. We need to really define healing very clearly. Most people, when they ask for healing, are asking the healing process to do a job or to perform a function that it was never designed to do. And when I tell you what you're really asking for, you will agree with me. When someone asks for healing, they're asking for two things. They're asking for instant relief from the condition, whether the condition is physical or emotional or mental or psychological. So they're asking for instant relief. And the second thing that they're asking for is they're asking for the pain to be instantly lessened, if not completely removed. Now, healing was never designed, is not designed, and shall never be designed to bring you either relief or to relieve you of pain. Now, that might surprise you. We are so conditioned to see people around us, and even with our own experiences, where we take a pill and we feel an instant relief or the pain abates very, very quickly. And somewhere in the back of our mind, we call that healing, because the apparent symptoms have abated, and we believe that that means I am being healed. The process of healing is not a popping of a pill. In fact, it does what no pill can do for you. The process of healing reorganizes the entire energy system. So, when there is a rewiring taking place, a rewiring of the entire being, mind, body, emotions, beliefs, identity, relationships, when such a massive rewiring is taking place, you will now appreciate that nothing can be instant. So whether you are healing yourself or you're healing someone else, you need to understand this very, very clearly. One would assume that if you call yourself a healer, you would already know this. And it consistently surprises me when those who call themselves healers are desirous of seeing the outcome very soon. And if the outcome doesn't come soon, I know so many of them who take it almost as a personal failure. And then I know those healers who have had positive results, whether they've had them sooner or later is immaterial, but who've had positive results and who, I won't use the word brag, but they would like others to know. Both of these reactions of a healer come from an inner environment within the healer that is not in perfect sync with their soul, that is not in perfect sync with their spirit. Because both of these reactions come from a place within the ego. So, healing is not about removing the symptoms. Let's get that very, very clearly implanted so that we understand what we are doing when we are facilitating healing, and we understand what we are asking for if we are asking someone else for healing. Healing is not a removal of symptoms. Healing is a process of disrupting the current energy system and reorganizing it, rewiring it. This is very, very important so that we can then understand the purpose that pain plays in our lives. Whether it is emotional pain or it is physical pain, pain plays a very, very important role. Pain is the expression of what is going on within the system. When you and I are unaware of what is going on internally, pain is our messenger. So it is an extremely important messenger for us. It draws our attention to what is going awry. A wound, an illness, a condition that you have, whatever it might be, reveals several things. One, it reveals a certain pattern in your life. It could be a physical pattern, it could be an emotional pattern, it could be a mental pattern. It reveals a pattern in your life. So the next time you are even wounded, yes, even wounded, check out for the pattern. When you consistently are wounded, whether you are being wounded in the same place or in different places, but if you are, let's say, having falls, or if you're constantly banging yourself and having bruises, don't write it off as being careless. Yes, you may be careless, But that carelessness is also a pattern. So look for the pattern. It also reveals to us something about the nervous system. Whether it is an illness or a disease or a wound or a pain, it reveals how our nervous system is reacting to a given set of circumstances. So, when you have a certain condition, the next thing you're going to look for is, how is my nervous system reacting? And if it is reacting in this manner, why is it reacting in this manner? The third thing that you look for is this a survival strategy? Very important. There are a significant number who come to me for counseling and help, and when they ask for healing, and when they talk to me about their condition, I pick up that this condition must actually not be healed right now, because this condition is a survival mechanism for their system. So I will gently, in different ways, tell them that we are going to postpone working upon this symptom directly, but we're going to do XYZ work initially and then move towards the symptoms. Because if we interrupt or we disrupt energy patterns that are the survival mechanism or a survival strategy for someone's system, we might be doing them more harm than good. So you see, as a so-called healer, and the reason why I say so-called is I don't believe any of us can heal anyone except ourselves. But people love to call themselves healers, so I just kind of play along with that word. So for any of us who are so-called healers, we have to have a deeper understanding of the energies behind the symptoms. Because this has happened in the past where people have gone to XYZ and things have gotten worse, not better, and then they have come to me. And the reason why things went southwards is not because that person was not skilled or was not genuine, no, but because that person was unaware of the deeper layers. The wound, the pain, the illness, the disease can also give a person an identity. Again, we need to be very, very intuitive and very energy sensitive so that we understand these nuances that are not apparent. There is an elderly lady who has been a client of mine for a while now. And in the course of our talk therapies, she has now, after several weeks, realized that she is not letting go of the pain, because the pain is giving her the identity of, oh, poor thing, she's suffering so much. And that has become an identity that she is clinging on to, because that identity is bringing her, for the first time in her life, is bringing her attention and care from others. So we have to be aware of whether it is providing us, or if we are working with others, whether it's providing them with some kind of identity. An illness or a pain can also project an expectation from either one relationship or more relationships. So the wife, for example, who, in spite of going to every orthopedic doctor, every allopathic doctor, every homeopathic doctor, she's gone to an Ayurvedic doctor, she has gone to so many healers, pranic and Reiki and craniosacral, the works. Why is her lower back pain refusing to heal? Because there is an expectation she has from her relationship with her husband, her relationship with her in-laws, and that expectation, or those expectations, are not being met. So the pain is expressing her expectations from these relationships. So again, there are deeper layers which, if you truly wish to facilitate healing for yourself or another, you have to look at these deeper layers, and you have to understand and heal the deeper layers and not the superficial symptoms. So let's go now to the truths. So the first hard truth that I have written down here is, what hurts you may also be protecting you. And if you do not understand this, you will not understand why the system is resisting the healing energy. For example, emotional numbness, right? Where the person almost seems emotionally dissociated from everyone or from everything. That kind of emotional numbness is actually helping that person to not be completely overwhelmed by intense emotions. Now, if you don't understand this as a healer, and you, either through talk therapy or body therapy or batch flower remedies or EFT or whatever is the modality you use, if you attempt to force this person to emotionally connect, to emotionally give, to emotionally receive, you will be causing untold harm to that person. Because the first thing you have to understand is that that numbness is there for a reason. Help that person with the reason first, and you will not need to heal the symptoms. People pleasing, right? Someone who's constantly doing things for people, saying the right things, giving gifts, just being everyone's so-called friend's friend. Very, very often, people pleasing hides a very deep fear that the person will not have any attachments or connections in their lives. They're very scared to be alone. So you need to address that fear and not the symptom of people pleasing. So in this way, whether they come for anxiety, whether they come for people pleasing, whether they come for whatever it is that they come for, find out what is behind the symptom. What is that symptom protecting you from, or protecting the other person from? Very, very important. Because if the system knows, if their body knows, this is important, I need to let this be because it's protecting this person from this other deeper layer, your body or the other person's body will refuse, will resist the healing. The second truth. But before we go into that, when we are met with resistance, either resisting ourselves or someone is resisting our healing efforts, we have to understand that we are there, the healing process is there to persuade the system to reorganize itself. We are not there to convince ourselves or to convince other people to get better or to feel better. We are not there for that. The healing process is not meant for that. And that is why I repeatedly tell clients that while the healing process is on, whether it takes several weeks or it takes several months, please do not be foolish and not take the medicines that will give you relief. Because you must, your body needs to get that relief. A body that is in constant pain is an extremely stressed out system. In fact, your efforts at reorganizing will come to zero because of that constant pain. So, I completely disagree with when energy healers and whoever, they diss medicines and they say, oh, don't take that medicine and this medicine is going to cause you more harm than good. Come on, guys. Let's not come from such a huge ego space. Let's hold on to a much larger truth that whatever is in this world, whatever has been facilitated for creation in this world, has been facilitated by the divine energy of creation, which includes medicines. So if there is a constant migraine, now hopefully you will know that it will take time, because you are going to be looking at many of the deeper layers first. Please encourage yourself, encourage your client, your friend, your family member to take the appropriate medicine so that they get relief, so that the pain in that moment is abated. So let's come to the second truth. The second hard truth is, this is something that has come up for me so often in so many clients. Healing threatens their identity. How will you know if there is an identity issue here? First of all, never jump into the healing process. Don't be so excited that someone has come to you and asked you for healing and jump into it, because you will 99.99% of the time be doing something entirely wrong. Before the healing process can start, you have to have a very clear understanding of your client. Before the healing process starts for yourself, you have to have a very clear understanding of who you are, what your system is all about. Before you place your hands upon a client, unless you know how they tick, what their system is all about, you are not helping your client. So, listen to the words they speak. For example, I have been abandoned by so many people in my life. I don't know what happens to me. I'm always the one who's falling. I'm always the one who is getting hurt. I'm always the one who's falling sick. From the age of 6 to now, my life has been one long trauma experience. I can't tell you how many people misunderstand me. I don't know why people misunderstand me. These are words that should ring very loud bells for you. I am actually sharing the sentences that clients have spoken so that the next time you speak to your client, you will now be aware of, okay, here is an identity statement that is being spoken. The healing will not work because that person has created an identity for themselves. They may come to you with every good, honest intention to being healed. But that trauma, that abandonment, that rejection, that illness has given them a very, very strong identity. I know a client of mine who, before giving, and the reason I know that she does it not only with me but with others is because I've been with her in social occasions. Her first introduction when someone asks her about herself is, I'm a cancer survivor. Great. Kudos to you. Wonderful, and all blessings, and may you remain that way. But when that becomes your opening statement in every introduction, you must be able to understand compassionately, not judgmentally. You must be able to understand this has become her identity. And it's a very dangerous identity to have. So be very careful with that. Because when people connect their condition to their identity, healing is not going to take place. The reason is they don't know what will be their identity if they are completely healed. Supposing this person who says she has had trauma ever since she was 6 years old, if she truly allows herself to be healed, and if the rest of her life, because of the healing, has no trauma, she won't know what to do with this unknown self. You know, we all have a saying that known devil is better than the unknown one. And then we come to the third hard truth. The body heals on a different timeline than the mind. Very, very, very important. I had a client yesterday. She's a lovely human being. I've known her for many years. I know she was honestly, with all of her being telling me the truth, that she was ready to let this conflict go. She was ready to resolve. And I know that there was 100% honesty. But the honesty, which I did point out to her, and because she is so self-aware, she accepted, the honesty is limited to the mind. You may make up your mind on a certain day, in a certain moment, and say, I am letting this go right now. It is done. I'm not carrying this with me as my baggage anymore. And with every fiber of your being, you are really honestly intentioned about it. Your mind will hear it. Your mind will even process it. But your body will say, you need to prove to me again and again and again and again, and for the 50th time again, that you truly desire to leave this behind, that you truly desire to be healed. Now, you may ask, but why? Why does the body ask for this reaffirmation again and again and again and again? Your nervous system has found its safety in that condition. Whether it is a conflict, whether it is a long-term illness, whether it is a disagreement, whatever it is, your nervous system always finds safety in what is familiar. If this has been familiar to you for a while, your nervous system is now saying, this environment is a safety zone. It's not going to give it up, because your nervous system is going to react quite adversely when you try to change that environment. And that is why the first thing one has to do is to do some kind of energy work with the nervous system first, so that the nervous system is convinced beyond a shadow of doubt that the healing process, that the letting go, will not cause you more harm than good. Then the fourth hard truth. Some of the pain is waiting to be healed 100%. But some of the pain is not waiting to be healed. It is waiting to be felt. It is waiting to be experienced. And here again, the spiritual depth of a healer, the emotional maturity, the psychological work the healer has done on herself or himself is so important. Very often, we have to hold space for ourselves, yes, of course, but also for others. hold space not only for their healing, we have to hold space so that they experience what they have been terrified to experience. And one of the main emotions that causes this kind of resistance to healing is grief. Somehow, our human world has been conditioned to believe experiencing grief, expressing grief, even breaking down under the burden of grief is weakness. And at a subconscious level, none of us want to be judged as weak. So we don't allow ourselves to grieve. In fact, what we do very often, especially those of us who are aware of so many spiritual truths, in this one case, we allow our spirituality to work against us. So instead of grieving the loss of someone you dearly cared for, you will talk about how this person is in a better place and there is nothing like death and it is the body that has died and the spirit lives on and this person is always with you. All of it is true. But none of it matters in the moment, because what is most needed is to let yourself grieve about the physical loss of that person. So some pain is just waiting to be felt and experienced, and the nervous system that is holding that pain in abeyance is continuing to suppress it because you have been conditioned, you have conditioned yourself that way. The nervous system will not allow the healing till that pain, whether it be the pain of grief or something else, but in my experience, grief is number one. Till it is felt, till it is fully experienced, till it is maybe even just sobbed out. And yes, this grief can be very, very, very old. But till it is released through expression, through experience, through feeling, healing is not going to take place. The next truth is healing is approached by so many people as, if I am healed, I will have made improvement in myself. I will have shown that I am stronger, I am not sick, I am courageous, I have fortitude, whatever it is that we tell ourselves. But healing is not about self-improvement. Healing is about self-connection. Unless I can connect deeply to myself when I am sick, I am not going to be able to heal that. Unless I can facilitate an environment safe enough for my client to connect deeply with themselves, they are not going to be able to reorganize, rewire their system and heal themselves. It's not going to happen. So here's another thing I disagree with when it is used by healers in a way that I completely feel is inappropriate. The person will be asked to meditate. The person will be asked to journal. The person will be asked to pray. The person will be asked not to eat something and to go and exercise. All of these are very valid. I think journaling has a huge place to play at the appropriate time. Prayer is magnificent and can open so many doors. But if we are using prayer and chants and switch words and meditations and journaling and healthy diet and good exercise, if we are using them as substitutes for connection with ourselves, the effect is zero. It will work for a short time, it will come back again. For example, a very simple example. A client of mine has put on a considerable amount of weight in the past 4, 5, 6 years. She's asked me for switch words. She's asked me for prayers. She's asked, God knows what all she's asked me for. I've given them to her and I've told her, we need to work on this. There is something deeper. No. This is just menopause, nothing else. Okay, it's just menopause. Nothing's worked. So now, after trying so hard and everything really either failing or working for a short time and then again the weight comes back on, she said, yes, I'm willing to look at what is going on. Because there is a self-connection issue here. She is lacking that self-connection. Why is she lacking that self-connection? I don't know yet. We will know it in the subsequent session. So therapy also is a fantastic option. But what are you going to do in that therapy session? Are you really going to open yourself up and allow the process to help you connect with your inner pain? Or are you just going there to, oh, I go for therapy? The problem with all of this is we want this to work without the self-connection because we are ashamed of being fat, of being sick, of being whatever it is, of being in pain. We are ashamed of that. And just as grief refuses to allow the healing to take place, shame will also not allow healing to take place. The next truth. If you remain in the same environment, you are not going to heal, you are going to consistently re-injure yourself. If it is a relationship that has caused you all of these, then you have to be away from that relationship for a few weeks, a few months, till you can truly heal from deep within. Because constant contact with the trigger is only going to injure you more, is only going to deepen the pain, is only going to make the illness more severe. So, we find a lot of excuses to remain in the same situation. People want to change the outside, but either do not want to change the environment that is triggering the inside, or they do not have the courage to leave the environment that is triggering the inside. I know that there are a few persons, and they are very, very, very few, who genuinely, due to whatever circumstances, cannot leave that environment. But those circumstances, I mean, those incidents are far fewer in number. Most people will say, but I can't. But I can't. But I can't? Why can't you? Maybe the answer is you don't want to. And that is okay too. Let's look into that answer. Let's go deeper into that answer. What is stopping? Because if the environment doesn't change, the healing cannot take place. The seventh one, which is actually a repetition of what I said much earlier. You are not working on the pain. You are not working on the illness. You are not working on the symptom. You are working on your system. So, healing is about meeting their system. Healing is about meeting your system. So, what does the system contain? It contains the beliefs, the nervous system, the attachment patterns, the identity roles that we spoke of, the defense mechanisms that are so important, the survival strategies. You have to meet all of this. And you have to work on every layer. We have to stop being enthusiastic about setting right the physical situation. The physical situation is honestly, at most times, the least of the problems. The problems lie elsewhere. Those of you who know and have learned the 9 sacred codes of healing, the 9 layers of the chakras, you will appreciate that this is what those codes are doing. They are reorganizing the energy at every layer, at the belief layer, at the feeling layer, at the karmic layer. The next one. You cannot heal someone, and I would really like all the healers here to hear this. You cannot heal someone beyond their current capacity to tolerate the healing. The healing that they can tolerate at the physical level, at the emotional level, at the level of the nervous system may be just this much. Stop pushing them. A client came to me once completely traumatized because a certain healer kept telling her how she was a drain on everyone's energies, that she was an energy, something she was called. She was refusing to do this. She was resistant. I didn't think this was a part of a healing process. I thought this was abuse. Because she did heal, but she healed this much, and the healer, for her own ego, wanted the outcome to be this much. And instead of appreciating that this is how much she can heal at present, she was abusing this young lady. And that is why it is so important when a little bit of healing has been done and the client wishes to then not come to you for several months or maybe even several years and comes back to you later, it means now their system is ready to go even deeper. We cannot allow our egos to come in the way. The work we do with someone else's energy is the most sacred work that we have been honored to be given this responsibility for. So let's not allow ourselves to become, for the exercise to become about, oh, it's all about me. I am this fantastic healer. The next one, which brings me to the next one. Very often, when we are pushing our clients to heal, it is because we want ourselves to heal. Because we know deep inside, we know an ugly reality, we know a very hard truth that there is something unhealed within us. And we are projecting that onto our client. And when that happens, we become the barrier to healing, not the client. So very important to really introspect. And the last hard truth is know when to say what. Yes, energy works makes us intuitive, but it should also make us sensitive enough to ask ourselves, is this the right time to say this? I may pick up very early on, maybe even in the first session, that there is an identity issue here, or there is a survival strategy here. Am I going to tell my client that? I'll keep that information for me so that I can very gently, lovingly, and kindly lead my client to that place of self-realization. So you've got to appreciate that if you say something right now and the moment is not right, it will be heard as untruth, it will be heard as useless, it will be heard as criticism, it will be heard as judgment. It will not have the positive effect that you may be well intentioned with. So be intuitive, fantastic, but be sensitive and sensible. And to end, healing always takes place. But very often it doesn't take place in the way you desire. It doesn't take place in the way you would like to see it. There have been many occasions when I have gently just drawn my client's awareness to a fact that a certain organ needs attention. And as soon as the client says, no, this is perfectly fine, I've had all my tests done, I drop it. I'm not here to prove myself right. Because I know that when the system is ready for that organ, where I've already seen a disruption of energy, when the system is ready for that organ to talk to that person, it shall. The words spoken by a person's body, by a person's system, are far more effective than any words that anyone can say to them. So, again, if you are despondent, if you call yourself a failure, there is as strong an ego there as if you are bragging about your healing. Healing cannot come from a place of the ego. The ego does not even know what healing is. Only spirit knows. So remember, you are not the healer for anyone except for yourself. You facilitate reorganization of energies, rewiring of the system. And that sacred work is what we all do. So let's spend this 1 week asking ourselves these questions. Think of one area in your life. Please don't look at someone else. Think of one area in your life that you know has not healed, whether it is physical, emotional, psychological. Think of that area. And instead of asking yourself, why is the healing taking so long? Ask yourself these questions and do write these down. What exactly is this pain doing for me? What identity is it providing me? Is there any grief hidden below this? What is it? What kind of environment keeps reactivating this pain? What would complete healing require me to give up and let go of? What is my responsibility to myself if I were to really heal completely? Why is my nervous system feeling unsafe with the aspect of peace and wholeness? Thank you very much for being a part of this today. Big hug.